cybersecurity is more critical than ever for governments. What do you see, and I'm posing this question to all of you simultaneously, as the biggest cyber threat facing national and state agencies today?
Suppose I'll go first, Rob. Thank you for moderating this podcast. Also, thank you for Ready, Set, Cyber for having each of us. It would be very easy for me to go back and forth naming foreign adversaries, saying the biggest threat is Russia or China or so on and so forth. But the truth of the matter is much more fundamental. Legacy IT is the biggest threat that we face right now. Built by the lowest bidder, sometimes decades ago, legacy IT is fit for the stated purpose of the RFP, which is function, not security. Today, government systems at every level, federal, state, local, tribal, territorial, international systems, all operate on an IT backbone that is fundamentally insecure and cannot be patched into security. Instead of replacing that legacy IT, we have taken a risk-based approach to slowly replacing segments of it. That means that we still have an unacceptable amount of risk across too many systems. And then I suppose if I had a second biggest risk, it would be supply chains. Largely because all those vulnerabilities of legacy IT are multiplied by the same threat in each supplier's vendors and their vendors and their vendors and so forth. So sorry for taking two, but those are the two biggest threats that I'm seeing today.
Great points. Others?
I'll jump in. I just came from the CISO Academy last fall at the FBI, and they talked about the two big threats that nation-state attacks, and I'm going to let the other experts talk about nation-state attacks. But the big one that I focus on right now and talk a lot about is ransomware. It continues to evolve. It continues to be a threat that is growing. I just came out with a blog this last weekend that talked about how from BlackFog actually, but their annual report said the numbers, biggest ever in 2024 and continuing to go up in the beginning of 2025. So we can go through the data, we can go through statistics with that, but it's hitting local and state governments, it's hitting utilities, it's hitting water supply, it's hitting small and large companies, and it's continuing to evolve. And it's not your mother's or father's ransomware anymore. A lot of times they're not even encrypting data, they're just going right after the exfiltration, and they're going straight after the extortion of the organization. So I would say what's hitting people out, maybe outside the Beltway around the country, and I can't argue with Phil's and other comments around other, supply chain and those, but I would say ransomware is a huge threat, certainly hitting governments and the public and private sector.
Yeah, one thing I'll even add to that, piggybacking off what Dan just mentioned, as we talk about ransomware, but also with ransomware being enhanced with the use of AI tools and different technologies, it is becoming, not becoming, I believe it already is a big concern for if you look at different universities, especially hospitals. I think hospitals are hit quite hard, and because they always kind of left to that situation where, especially I think with hospitals is very unique, where a lot of times they're dealing with life and death situations, so they don't really have a lot of time to be kind of going back and forth to say should we pay or not, because when you do pay, you kind of leaving that door open for another attacker to do the same thing and then kind of raising those stakes. But it's having that, trying to protect yourself, protecting your networks against these, I would say, more enhanced ransomware attacks, because it is with the usage of AI, it is becoming much more prevalent.
Mm-hmm. And I think I'll expand on all of that, where from a, what's the biggest threat risk? I mean, we can all have opinions on that. I think the biggest problem is most entities, whether you're government, whether you're private sector, public sector, whatever, there's too many entities that don't understand the threats that are even targeting them. They don't understand who's coming at them, who's trying to get their information. And then many think, well, I'm too small for anyone to want to target me. I don't have anything anyone would want. Those are probably the two big things I've heard many, many times over. And usually it's because I showed up as an FBI agent and they had just got hacked and they said, how'd this happen to us? We were too small. We thought we were too small, and as Dr. J said, healthcare, huge issue. They're getting hit all the time. Law firms getting hit all the time. And so, and those are entities that you don't necessarily think about being perhaps huge targets of cyber crime or cyber bad guys, but everybody is. It doesn't matter what business you're in. I can tell any business, I can come look at your business and give you in about 5 minutes who's going to come target you and why. And, ransomware is a huge issue, but the thing that you don't hear a lot about is business email compromise, where bad guys get into an email system and defraud companies of billions of dollars. The number 2 cybercrime year in and year out. It used to be number 1 till cryptocurrency fraud overtook it. And it's 29 times the amount of loss per year from ransomware. But ransomware is very sexy from a media perspective. And that's another problem with media we can get into maybe another time. But that's my take on that.